Dean Academics Dr. Shriman Kumar Das sir to share his thoughts with us.
Very good morning to all of you, Honorable Director and CEO, Professor Madhavananda Kasta, esteemed Medical Superintendent, Principal College of Nursing, our dignitaries and resource person for evidence-based nutrition. A warm welcome to all of you. It's a beautiful morning today. It's drizzling since yesterday. Very nice environment to have some pakoda and hot tea. But as you know, we are here for this nutrition CME. Very, very important. I never thought that during my MBBS days and even till now, up to January 2024, I never thought that nutrition carries so much of importance in a person's life. It is proved. And I won't tell, but still time is there in your hand. If you are leading a very careless, negligent lifestyle and you are neglecting your food. Food is so many things are there included food, but the nutritious and nutrient food that has to be defined and that has to be consumed in a proper time, in a proper manner. Otherwise, there will be irreversible damage. So, my dear students, it's my sincere request to go through this CME properly and try to follow it in the day-to-day life. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your encouraging words. With immense joy, I would like to invite Professor Dr. Madhavananda Kasta, Director and CEO, AIIMS Mangalagiri, to encourage us with your words.
Good morning to all my colleagues on the dais, faculties, dear students. I am so excited to always attend these type of nutritional conferences over the years neglected by all, especially the doctors' fraternity, because they don't think that nutrition is important in the disease treatment issues. When I was doing my residency, that time we realized why the patients, I am an oncosurgeon, chronic diseases, patients suffer from so much mental trauma, simultaneously disease itself. So even if after so much and so meticulous treatment, surgery, medicine, still patients are not recovering, that time we realized that nutrition is how important. This every day you have to calculate the requirement of the nutrition for each patient, like each normal human being. Just forget about the medicine, that is the most important is the nutrition. That we devised that time, the nutritional charts in our department, and which is now continuing, and always I told that, so Dr. Sain is here. During my Jodhpur days, I told the same thing. Every department in their ward, they should have a nutritional chart, whether they are maintaining it or not. Each resident, each nursing staff, they should know. Suppose this is during admission or normal. The patients are under stress. They require more nutrition than normal human being. Again, the operation, even simple hospitalization, this is so stressful for the patient. And it counts. You have to calculate everything. Calorie, the protein, carbohydrate, fat, all this is a common thing. Initially it looks like it's so burden, so stressful, but this becomes a habit. Just like electrolytes maintenance for the surgeons at the post-op period. While telling this, simultaneously we are following so much of faulty formulas about the like what we are thinking. There is the guidelines, there is the landmark articles from the West, which over the years became futile and released the wrong formulation. If you compare, like our antibiotic starts like penicillin in 1935, before that the civilization survived. And that is basically the Indo civilization is survived without antibiotics. There was no life that is there. The nutrition was more important. Simple example I am giving, what we are discarded like the ghee, the mustard oil, because we are following the Western formulation. This is ruined our whole health system in India, in Asian countries. Now, everywhere in Asian countries, they are realizing that westernized lifestyle. Means always there is a term in Gita, Swatam Nidharam Sayo Paradharmo Bhayava. Means when we are sustaining our civilization over the years, means our traditional things are important. We cannot neglect. Those simultaneously we develop, simultaneously we have to give importance. That's why the evidence-based nutrition. Now the time is coming, ministry is also taking importance. Make your Ayurvedic treatment, traditional treatment, evidence-based. If you will see that the nutrition is more important, starting from the mothers. High is the big nuts, what nutrition should take, which may medications was not there, only nutrition. Then the 3 years, 3 months, 6 months, weaning period, everything was there. And ghee was the most important part. Now, after that ghee we discarded, now this is NFDL. This is the chronic glomerular non-fibrotic chronic liver disease due to the endemic. And this has been evidenced by Dr. Sarin from ILBS. The ghee is having the butyric acid, this is the liver protective and fat burner. But we have been learned over the years, if you take fat, ghee, it is more fat, more obese, more like this. This is reverse. That's why each thing you need to do evidence-based, not like just simply follow. And why this the important nutritional CME is more important, this type of institute? Because this institute is INI, national importance. And you people are in the institute where you are having the academic freedom. You can, whatever research you can do, but you have to do all things for the good for the people. With evidence-based depends upon your research. That's why the AIMS is having a research as a pillar, like patient care, training and research. You have to do research, simultaneously to train. Like this type of CME, they have conferences. This is a mandatory for this institute and for each department. That's why I congratulate the cardiology department and the school college of nursing that they combine to do this thing. Everywhere you have to ask why we are doing this. This is a mandatory. It's not a why. You have to do, and you have to evaluate your students, your colleagues, and we ourselves also update. Thus, in this nutritional conferences, I urge that everyone should evaluate their own diet, and simultaneously you have to make care your surroundings, means your colleagues, your patients, your neighbors, everyone. Because you are in such an institute, people look after you, what you are telling. That's why not like the source remarks you will give. You make it evidence. That's why in AIMS, writing any medication is not allowed, unless otherwise it is evidence-based. If it is not evidence, but still it is good, you have to make it a trial. The same thing for the nutrition, make the nutritional charts. Compare with like chronic any one to keep it really, and they should your residents, all the faculties, even nursing staff, they should know what is the basic requirement, what is this patient. They should clear discussion with the nursing staffs, the what nutrition they should take. Every nutrition, everything you can give every patient, like post-operation requirement, which operation, upper GI operation, lower GI operation, cardiac operations, or general surgery operation, different nutrition is very clear. And he should know this. Like that way, I congratulate to all, and especially the Pan India nutrition colleagues we met in Jodhpur. The same thing I am telling them also. whatever you do follow. Regular, make a group, what the sign told, to make a group and discuss. Like you can give the West India diets is here. If you go, this is the beauty of this country, everywhere different diets. And that is because regional specific, because of the climate. Now the climate is changing. That is also affecting health. Because the climate change affects your body habits and your nutritional requirement also. That way, like in a humid area, you cannot take like in the north climate area diets. That's why in a different area, over the years, this has been traditionally food, evidence-based. That's why everything you have to update. And this institute utilize the infrastructure, utilize the culture, utilize the work culture, do everything evidence-based. And in nutrition, one of the best. Thank you so much. All the best.
Thank you, sir, for enlightening us with your depth of knowledge on the importance of evidence-based nutrition in treating patients. I think it's a brainstorming for students to think about it. Thank you, sir, for your encouraging and inspirational talk. We have reached to the end of our inaugural session. Now I request all of you to stand up for the national anthem.
जन गण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल गंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जगधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगल दायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
Thank you. Now let's proceed to the refreshments which are arranged in the dining hall for the students, and we'll be back after 20 minutes to hear our respected speaker Dr. Regina Shaheen ma'am on evidence-based nutrition. So please come back in 20 minutes, and I request all dignitaries to come on to the first floor of auditorium for the refreshment. And before that, I request all the dignitaries and organizing committee members on the dais for the group photos. PAN members Dr. Shruti Sharma and Ms. Bhavani, please join us on this.
Sir. Okay.
कम करके रखा है 1000 आराम से हो सकता है
इतना बड़ा जगह है सर
स्पेस भी बहुत देते हैं और नंबरिंग नहीं किया सीट का तो एक लाइन चेयर तो बैठ सकता है बहुत ज़्यादा स्पेस है
लॉट ऑफ स्पेस उसको एक बार बोला कि इट्स फर्स्ट रो ओनली सेंटर पे रखो दोनों साइड उठा के दिस साइड करके
उसमें प्लान करने के लिए बोल
वही खराब है
The the first ones to leverage technology to revolutionize lifestyle medicine practice and thus founded Invest on Health. Invest on Health is a health tech platform facilitating comprehensive therapeutic lifestyle interventions and has transformed the lives of more than 2,500 clients of various demographics as of 2022. As a pioneer of lifestyle medicine, she has championed the cause at various forums, including Indian Society of Lifestyle Medicine, Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, and also at various corporate organizations and even at the community level on nutrition. She is also involved with training PAN volunteers on the domain of evidence-based nutrition. Today, Dr. Regina Shahin is here to take a session on Introduction to PAN India and importance of nutritional intervention in clinical practice. We welcome you, ma'am.
Yeah, again, kids are coming. So you all had nice refreshments? You all had? How did you feel about those things which you ate? A green tea or black tea? What did you drink?
Herbal tea.
Herbal tea. Okay, great. So did you guys like it? No. Okay. So what kind of tea you like? Milk tea. Black tea.
Black coffee.
Great. So actually I'm just going to give a presentation which will give an overview of what is evidence-based nutrition, why we as doctors or to become after becoming doctors need to practice evidence-based nutrition evidence. So this is not something to really deeper into the science. To get deeper into the science, kids who are interested to pursue this deeper into the science, please join our group. There are multiple subgroups which is leaking deeper into the field, actually multiple fields. So please you can ask the questions at the end of the presentation because then we have the flow first. I think, why you guys are all like sitting in the back seat, you should come forward so that I can see your face, interact with you. I do have a teenage daughter, almost your age group, like 15. So I really want to see that energy. Come forward, no? Please come. Especially the last rows. Please come forward. So I represent an organization called Physicians Association for Nutrition. It's a global NGO, and India we started operations in 2022, and now it's almost 2 years old. We have done multiple programs in different med schools, including AIMS Nagpur, AIMS Jodhpur. Sir, actually we met him in last year, February or so, and now recently we have done in AIMS Madurai. So what we do is actually we are bringing doctors, we are educating doctors about evidence-based nutrition and helping them to practice the same so that the food system, overall food system needs a thorough makeup, right? Change. So we are involved in changing the food system of the country or food system of the globe and helping people to thrive than just taking some medication and surviving those kind of things. That's what we are doing. So why do you think we need this kind of CMPs to train doctors or create awareness? Why do you think? How many of you studied nutrition in detail, or how many of your 4th years? Oh, great. So what is your nutrition topic? How many hours you learn nutrition? 10 hours? Yeah? Okay. So, do you think nutrition is important? Yeah? How many of you think nutrition is important for a doctor to learn? Great. So, Dr. Amta Ganesh has already done the priming. Great. So, that's what we're going to talk. So, we are actually training doctors about evidence-based nutrition, help them practice the same, and help the food system change. So, when the food system changes, people thrive. They become more healthier, more active, more vibrant, more productive, more intelligent, more cognitively functioning. The world will develop into a better place. So, where is our role as doctor? A doctor, a role will change from sick treatment to making people more healthier, optimizing health, optimizing their performance, a large percentage of it. We still will have sick people that we need to definitely manage. So we actually train doctors like this, CMEs, and we do have a lot of online activities, which is webinars, just discussion forum, journal clubs. Journal clubs, some of the students from this college, I invite you to join our journal clubs, which is happening every month. We take up different studies and discuss those things. And we also coming up with clinical trials, which I will be discussing with Dr. Amrita Ganesh, which basically to advance the field. So there was a discussion in the snack table where other doctors were saying that, there are, like, nutrition is important, but there is a lot of confusion when it comes to nutrition. So we need to clear the confusion. We need to have more studies in the Indian context. India is actually a predominantly vegetarian nation. We always believe in living life with all aspects taken care of, holistic health. But we don't have enough studies to prove that these kind of claims or the kind of lifestyle is helping us to lead healthier, productive life. That is what we are venturing into this year. So there is one study which is already planned, which is for diabetes. And we also so some doctor was asking about pesticide usage and stuff. So vegetables, when you are eating more vegetables, we are asking people to eat more vegetables, more fruits. What is the thing which comes to your mind when you're thinking about eating more vegetables and fruits? Be active, guys. You need to be following plant-based to be active. Just be active. What do you think when you feel like we want to increase the vegetable consumption? What comes to your mind? Do you like it? Yeah? Yeah? Okay. So anybody is concerned about the pesticides in food, vegetables? All of you are concerned? Okay. So that what we are doing as part of our work is basically policy advisory. We are working with FSSAI, we are working with NIN to come up with studies, one part, and also come up with the regulations to the use of pesticides and the labeling and multiple other things, so that we get better food. Your canteen, think about your canteen. Dr. Amrita Ganesh's team is able to give you food which is like very tasty, but health promoting, cognitively better functioning, where you don't have to put this kind of effort. You have to put only 70 or 80% of your current effort to get good marks. Think about that. So that's what we are actually facilitating. Why nutrition should be at the core of the healthcare system that I mentioned already. We don't learn, me and Dr. Amrita Ganesh and Shaurya here, we are all in our 40s, so we never learn nutrition in detail. Right now I have seen some colleges coming into some electives. I think still it is not given the kind of importance it's needed. It needs actually. So we need to integrate nutrition into the healthcare system, first by giving you guys the curriculum. Learn nutrition. Learning nutrition, unlike medication, has a huge impact on your own life, your family's life. Because when you're changing your nutrition, you know about stuff, you're able to manage your own health, you optimize your own performance, you're also helping your families, and then your patients. So nutrition is very important for you guys because when we were learning, I was a medical student in my 1996 or something, so those years, till the major chunk of the medical problems like the mortality and morbidity were due to non-communicable diseases. But over the last 30 years, there is an epidemiological shift. You can see a lot of NCDs. What is the percentage of NCD in India, the mortality or morbidity due to NCDs in India? Globally, anybody? Yeah? Globally, it is around 72 to 74%. In India, it is 62 to 66%. Yes? Yes, I heard somebody saying something. So it is 66%. And NCDs, so NCD management, anybody, the 4th years must have learned about medicine, management of any condition. What does Harrison talks about management of any condition, the first line of management? What is it? Exactly. So how much it covers? Lifestyle intervention, lifestyle modification. How much? 1 paragraph? 2 paragraph? That's all, right? So do you have any idea how to tell your doctor, the patient, how to manage a particular condition using lifestyle intervention? That knowledge is not given by our system, right? So 66% or even 74% of the global burden is basically due to nutrition or diet-related diseases or lifestyle-related diseases, which the root cause is your lifestyle, but we are not addressing that. Please understand that we are not addressing the root cause of the things, we are actually working around the scenario. We need to change this. And you guys are the best best one to lead this because you have a name, AIIMS Mangalgiri. You have Dr. Amrita Ganesh kind of person to help you with facilitating this. You guys need to come forward and lead this. So, yeah, this is basically what happened over the last, 6 decades or so. We kind of got into this globalization, urbanization stuff, and it started rapidly modifying our lifestyle, and we started eating a lot of processed food. How many of you drink Coca-Cola or any sweetened beverages once a week? Okay, good. Thank you for being honest. How many of you eat Lay's and other chips every week? Wow. How many of you are drinking milk every day? Great. Okay. How many of you eat other animal products? Great. Thank you for being honest. So what we are doing is actually the system which was created by the industry, which is the dairy industry and the animal industry, helping us to understand that, okay, protein is very important, calcium is important, you need to eat those things in large quantity. And people started eating that, and people started getting sick. NCD is one side of the picture. The side Dr. Sharon will be explaining how we are actually damaging our earth, the climate change. Climate change, a large part of it is due to the eating pattern. 18% of the global greenhouse gas emissions are due to animal husbandry. So we need to change this, right? Right? That you are not yet ready, but slowly you will understand. So this is again, I've discussed the hierarchy of causality of diseases. Basically, we learn these things in Harrison, that these are the diseases, that these are the kind of causes of these diseases, which needs to be managed by addressing the root cause, which is your lifestyle, but nobody takes care of it, right? Any doctor, anybody got sick and went to a doctor? Any of your faculty? Yes. So what do they ask? Did they ask about your dietary pattern, your sleep pattern, your exercise pattern, and helping you to manage that? The few people who raised their hands, did they talk about any of those things? Right? We are not trained to do that. So ideally, NCD, the non-communicable diseases management should be like this. When next time your tutor, your professor comes and talks about it, ask them about lifestyle intervention more in detail, especially for hypertension, cardiovascular diseases or diabetes. Ask them, how do I train my patient to eat healthier? Okay, so that he doesn't need much medication. That's the thing you should be doing next time. So definitely, medical therapy has its role, then the lifestyle doesn't work. Surgeries and other procedures has role. So all these things are important, but the larger chunk of the matter or the problem should be managed with lifestyle intervention. If you're not doing this, as I mentioned, you guys are actually at the top of the intellectual thing at your age. You are at the top, maybe 0.1% or so, and you're coming here and you're learning basically how to mitigate the risk factor. So there is a hypertension, how to give medication to reduce the risk factor. There is a diabetes, you're getting metformin to reduce the risk factor. You're not working at the cause of the illness, the proximal cause or the medial cause. That's what we need to be doing. Otherwise, what we are doing is, please understand, you guys, such intellectual brains, coming here, learning what is shown in the picture. There is actually a leak tap, and the room is flooded because of that. And you are actually mopping the floor by mitigating the risk. You are not addressing the root cause of the illness. Please understand, I do agree that we need to have more tools and resources and support to help you with managing these things, but start making the shift. Start making those changes actually. The changes can be made by, again, as I mentioned, ask your own tutors how to manage this, and also doing a little bit of research, forming a group. You can lead this actually. I'm sure that another 10-15 years, this will be the primary management of diseases, because I've been practicing this for the last 10-12 years, 12 years plus at least, and then I see the initial set of patients, it was all the top guys, CEO, CXO, or the rich people who are aware, who can afford. Now I see a lot of middle class people and others coming in asking for, Doc, I want to be out of this medication, how can you help me? So that's happening actually. I see that happening over the last 10 years. Please understand, that is going to be the in thing in 10 to 15 years. So another thing which we discussed is nutrition is unbelievably confusing. How many of the nutrition dietary pattern you've heard about? Anybody heard about keto diet, paleo diet? Atkins, very good. Any other one? Excellent. So you guys are aware of these things. So where are you getting these knowledge from? Social media, Instagram. I didn't get one person. Where do you get this knowledge? Textbook. Oh wow, that's wonderful. This is the first time in a college I'm listening that they're getting the knowledge from the textbook. It's always the Instagram. Great. So definitely nutrition is highly confusing for people because we haven't learned nutrition in detail, how to manage these things, or how to, there is one study coming in and says that it is very good for, for example, Dr. Greenwood, director was talking about, ghee is good for health. The next study says that, ghee is actually saturated fat, it's not good for health. So you don't know which one to believe, that's a problem, right? So for that problem, there is a solution. Solution is evidence. We are all medical doctors. We are driven by evidence. We don't believe in hearsay. We don't believe some kind of anecdotal evidence. We believe in evidence. So evidence, how do we form evidence? Evidence is formed by creating a hypothesis or a claim, and we test it. What are the kind of testing you know in medical field? Yeah? You must have heard about observational studies, right? Cross control studies, then RCTs, randomized control studies. Anybody learned any randomized control studies in your class? Anybody? Don't remember. It's okay. So, and then actually there are a lot of these meta-analysis and systematic review which is happening right now, and that's how we form evidence. So observation studies at the lowest level of evidence, randomized control studies at the little higher level, and meta-analysis and systematic reviews higher level. So there are a lot of studies. If you look at, this is again taken from one of the prominent scientists, a cardiologist from Tufts University. He's also leading the nutrition movement in the US, one of the guys. So he has quoted that, every year, every decade, we have these nutrition studies doubling and tripling. We have so much around us, as I mentioned, some of them contradicting already existing things. So, but we do have a methodology to really understand what is evidence. So evidence is not just about one study coming and saying that, okay, this is going to be helpful. Look at the history of evidence. Look at the number of studies which is done in the field and analyze it. So right now at your age, you won't be able to do that, but you can also look at some of these already meta-analysis and systematic review done by major bodies like American Heart Association, or even ADA and stuff. And India also, which is coming up now. So one of the things, I'll give you a simple example how to look for evidence, because there is a lot of confusion regarding saturated fat, which is coming from dairy, our paneer and ghee and stuff, and also the ones which is coming from tropical oils like coconut oil. It's always a confusion among doctors, especially the cardiologists, people who are lipid, they believe in lipid hypogenesis, says, saturated fat is bad. Even our AHA, American Heart Association, recommends only 5 to 6% of the total calories are coming from saturated fat. But on the other side, there were few nutrition scientists and doctors came together and come up with some studies and came up with some big book, because 60 years, scientific world said that saturated fat is bad. It is going to create atherosclerosis. It is going to create heart attack and stroke. And then these two books came, and there was a lot of confusion. There were few studies. Then American Heart Association 2019 did a presidential report, which again analyzed around 360 studies, 360 or 380 studies, which is saying that saturated fat is bad, even if it's coming from dairy or tropical oils or animal products. So you need to have the mindset to dig a little deeper so that you're clear with it. So it's not like just believing in one study. Anybody look for nutrition studies? Anybody for their own personal use? Anybody try? Now onwards you need to start trying, right? So some of the things which you can look for is one is American Heart Association, American College of Lifestyle Medicine has a lot of plant-based studies. Please look into the things. Stanford, just like AIIMS in India or even much higher level globally, Stanford has a nutrition department which does wonderful studies. You guys should watch some of these documentaries called Focus Overnight. We'll create a group and discuss this. Fox over knife, which is like two doctors came together and made this movement. And that is the story. And then there is Water Health, something which is very useful. And there is a twin study which came recently. Twin study, what was the name of the twin study documentary? So that is a study which is done recently in Stanford. When, there were like 21 twins were analyzed for a different type of omnivorous diet versus a plant-based diet, and showing the benefits of a predominantly plant-based diet actually. So some of these things you should watch it actually, like you are at the core of the healthcare system, you're going to be at the core of the healthcare system. If you don't know these things, it will be tough. Please start watching these documentaries. We will share those lists. We have the list with us. And be smart, not just looking at the books and learning. There are a lot more happening in the field. So as Dr. Ganesh or myself, when we manage a patient, we look at the scientific evidence, what is the best available evidence, and we also look at clinical practice, and we do our patients' preferences and then help them to manage. Somebody who's not ready to completely go off a dairy product because it is very important for him or his cultural values or other things, we cannot push him to do it. Slowly you will have to take that step. Again, this is very important. We need to learn nutrition because we haven't learned it proper in a structured way. And we have done, in America, there were like few studies which was done by, which was published. This is Crowley et al. And it says that nutrition is insufficiently integrated into the global curriculum. It's not a problem with India alone. We follow the Western standards for curriculum and stuff. So we also don't have it enough integrated into our system. So, and we did a study, PAN did a study, Kriya Decrypt has done a survey, I think around 300 or 400 doctors were interviewed, and we found that actually doctors, they know that nutrition is important. Everybody is talking about that, even in the table. Nutrition is important, but they're confused what to guide their patients, right? So, insufficient skill set. Insufficient skill set because we don't have formal education in nutrition. We don't update ourselves about nutrition because we always think that that's the job of the nutritionist. But what happens is actually a patient who comes to the cardiologist who needs a lifestyle intervention, nutrition intervention, if he has to go to the nutritionist, to the cardiologist decides. Most of the time, out of 100 patients, only 10 patients go to the cardiologist. Am I correct? So this needs to be changing. This needs to be changing. Not only this, guys, actually for all of you guys to be alert and active. I've seen actually at least 60% of guys alert and active. The rest of them to be alert and active and listening and learning properly. Anywhere you can get information and learn stuff. To be active, you need to be working on your nutrition, which will help you not only to, just to, I have a wedding, I have an event, to lose weight, but also to look healthy, energetic, active, vibrant, as I mentioned, productive. And sometimes, most of the conditions when you're eating more polyphenol, plant-based food, the cognitive ability goes much higher. The kind of time required to assimilate things, to memorize things, goes much higher. Please start practicing these things actually. How many of you eat fruits every day? Okay, so why the hostel is not giving fruits, dog? So very, very sad state. I think we should all start eating 2 to 3 servings of fruits a day. Nutrition is, where are we currently? This is again the science of it actually. So always we focused on fat, individual nutrients, fat, total calories, everything. So once we cut down the calorie, we become healthier, we don't get diseases. That's gone out now. So it's not calorie in, calorie out always. If you're eating one donut versus a cup of fruit, it's totally 2 different things it is going to do to the body. One actually will make you healthier, your neurotransmitters will work better, your blood system will work better, the other damages it. So it's not the same anymore. Please don't, anybody who's planning to lose weight or trying to lose weight, don't go ahead with the calorie thing. Another one is individual nutrient focus. How many of you are taking protein supplements here? Okay, this is the first college I'm not seeing youngsters not taking protein supplements. Okay, most of the college are concerned about the protein intake. Anybody? No? Okay. So, protein, that individual nutrient focus. Yeah, the protein is very important. I need to have proteins, I need to have supplements, I need to have animal products to get my protein. That has gone out. So it is actually how overall dietary pattern is what matters. That is what is going to make you healthier. If you're eating like 100 grams of proteins a day and if you don't have enough of fiber from your fruits, vegetables or legumes, you're not going to go. You're going to have disease in another 1 or 2 years. And nutrition also has gone beyond, as Dr. Amita Dinesh has beautifully explained how all of the lifestyle is affecting our health. So nutrition, when you are eating healthy, you tend to do more exercise. You tend to sleep better. Same way, when you're sleeping better, you tend to go for a healthier food. So that is actually what science is showing actually. So all these lifestyle things are, the pillars are interconnected very strongly. And this is some study, I think all of you should actually look at this study. If you want to take, you can take a screenshot of this. It is actually done in 2,204 countries, 1 lakh plus population, and they have analyzed the dietary risk factors, 15 risk factors. So, anybody thought about any risk factors with relation to dietary for your cardiovascular disease or diabetes or hypertension? Anybody? Any dietary risk factor you are aware about? Any dietary risk factor which you learned in your textbooks? Yeah? No? Okay. So we always believe that high red meat intake, saturated fat intake, sodium intake, sugar intake, all these things are causing diseases, right? But at the same time, our study also says, and it's a large study, I think 20 years plus, saying that lower consumption of your vegetables, fruits, nuts, seeds, and the UFA-rich food are also leading to these diseases. It's not just about not eating those things, it is also about eating the right things. That's very important, right? Okay, so hence here onwards, you all have to start thinking about what you're going to eat. So this is how the dietary pattern right now, which we say that it is healthier, more fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, nuts, seeds, fish and yogurt, poultry and all definitely have some problems. If you ask questions, I will tell you what is the issue, and definitely the ones in red has to be completely cut down. How many of you are eating paneer every week? Wow, that's a large number. So do any of you know that what is the issue with paneer? Okay, I'll explain that. So paneer has around 16 grams of saturated fat. Okay, which is, again I mentioned, which is raising your LDL cholesterol, causing atherosclerosis, causing all these things. When you're thinking atherosclerosis, you will be thinking, oh, if I get heart attack by 40 or 50, I'm okay. But it is already affecting your system because it's already clogging your arteries. Your blood circulation to the brain is getting affected. The neurotransmitter release won't happen rightly. Vasodilation, which is required, is not happening properly. So it is something which is already like happening in your body. So it has 16 grams per 100 grams, which IHA says like 5 to 6% of the calories. For you guys, maybe around 13 grams is maximum you can consume in a day, right? So try and change. You need to demand your, canteen to give you better food. And emerging areas. Anybody heard about gut health, intermittent fasting? Anybody fasting, intermittent fasting here? No? Oh yeah. So why are you doing intermittent fasting? For health? Yeah? Okay. But mic is not there, I can't hear. Anyway, so one person doing intermittent fasting. Anybody heard about gut health? Anybody started taking probiotics for gut health? No? Nobody heard about gut health. So you guys are not into social media much. It's good. Because actually all the knowledge for us is normally coming from social media. It's good that it's coming from books. So Indian diet, do you think Indian diet is the best diet ever?
No.
Yeah? Yes? Yes, people raise your hands. Okay. Okay, great. So it used to be the good diet for a population which was majorly into agriculture, majorly into not so cognitive, this thing, who are active and stuff. And right now we have integrated a lot of things from the West and junk food, and also we have invented our own ways of faster food. So actually it is creating a lot of problems. If Indian food, the current Indian food was the best, we wouldn't have faced problems like this. We are already having problems related to undernutrition, which is like stunting, all the nursing staff would agree with it. And we also have the problems of NCDs. As I mentioned, 66%. The obesity rate in India, in one of the studies shows that it is 40%. It's growing, and especially in the urban segment. And people like us who are at the, like, I should not say that, but at least at the cream of the society where we have access to good food. It's so-called good food. And then micronutrient malnutrition. How many of you have checked your vitamin B12 and D level? Any of you deficient anytime? Oh, great. Okay, that is one of the reasons I think you must be started doing. So what did you do? Supplementation? Great. So there is micronutrient deficiency in spite of all these things. So we have a problem. And the problem is basically, look at the thing what Eat Lancet Commission says, if that somebody was mentioning about Eat Lancet study, says that actually we largely consume, our diet is largely into refined grains, white rice. So if it's like, look at South, 60-70% of the plate is filled with white rice. And then we have a small portion of vegetables, sometimes a sabji, and very minimal quantity of legumes. Most of the time we don't consume legumes. Most of these vegetables are cooked in high oil. I have seen some of the things at the vegetable portion, when you compare with the oil portion is like 30-40% of the vegetable portion. So that's how we do it. So our eating pattern is not right. This is again a scientific study. We are under consuming of vegetables, we are under consuming of fruits. That's very obvious. I have seen only 5 hands when I asked how many of you are eating fruits every day. How many of you are eating vegetables every day? Great. Okay, vegetables that cooked with oil, right? That needs to change. So then we already discussed that we are also eating a lot of packaged food. And when you look at some of the things, again a thoughts, because you guys are from AIMS, you guys have access to much better study. This is a thought, okay? So India's production of milk and consumption of milk over the last 30 years, if you look at it, it is tripled actually. It was 107 grams per person in 1970, 427 grams in 2021. Okay, that means it's kind of tripled. We don't know, we haven't studied much. The white revolution happened. We don't know whether it is also one of the reasons why heart attack rates are going high. It can be possible because saturated, it is dairy and its product are rich in saturated fat. Whole fat dairy has around 5 grams per cup. And paneer, as I mentioned, 16 grams per cup. Ghee has around 8 grams per cup, per tablespoon, not per cup. So we don't know, we need to study this, right? We need to see whether one of the reasons could be this. We need to study this. And we always say that India is a vegetarian nation. Are we? Actually, only 30% of the population is vegetarians. We all consume non-veg, and non-veg in large quantities. And not like 30 years ago or 25 years ago. Right now, most of the, especially in the southern states, we consume large quantities of non-veg, right? And this is again going very high. Again, animal products are high saturated fat. And chicken and other things, it also comes with other hormones and other stuff. And when you are eating animal products has choline, especially choline and few other nutrients which can be converted to DMAO, which is deleterious for our health, which can cause all these, not only NCDs, but also even cancer, right? So guidelines, I think guidelines, how many of you came across ICMR NIN guideline of 2024? Wow, that's great. Okay, so how did you come across that? Social media? No. TV, okay. No. I didn't get you books? Okay, great. Okay, that's nice. So this is ICMR guideline. ICMR guideline says that almost the same. You fill half of your plate with vegetables and fruits. 1/4, a little more of that with cereals or grains, whole grains. Replace your white rice with brown rice, or millets, or any of those things, and a small portion of legumes, nuts, seeds. That's what it says. Please share with all your friends. Please be part of our group and start changing the system. Okay, let's all together change the system. Plant-based diet, because we have done a lot of research over the last 60 years after America. It all started in America, right? The evidence-based initial part of it. We always had our own wisdom with respect to nutrition, but this evidence part of it started in America in 1930s with the advent of vitamin C. They isolated vitamin C, followed by 1940s or 50s. They started studying putting a lot of studies in the picture because America started experiencing higher rate of heart attacks during that time frame. So if you look at that from 40s to around 2022 or 23, you can see a lot of studies which happened in the plant-based diet because there was a study, a part of the study called Framingham study. In that there was a sub-part called 7-country studies actually. We will share these things in your WhatsApp. So 7-country study which showed that the people who are following a Mediterranean type dietary pattern, which is high in vegetables, fruits, legumes, nuts and seeds, were having lower rate of heart disease and stroke and stuff. So, and then the studies then there were like a few modified dietary pattern came into the picture, DASH diet to manage hypertension, MIND diet. These are all same type of plant-based diet, or predominantly plant-based stuff. So that's how the whole research of plant-based diet came into the picture. And then by 80s, 2000 time frame, the American College of Lifestyle Medicine came into the picture. As I mentioned, watch the documentary Fox Overnight. It shows how they came together and formed this thing called lifestyle medicine as a thing where it promotes plant-based diet actually. So there is a study which is done by T. Colin Campbell, China study, which is again showing how animal-based diet is leading to cancer and other diseases actually. So plant-based diet is not just something which suddenly came up. It's not a part of a vegan movement or something. It has been there in the science world for the last 60, 70 years. And we have refined it over the years as whole food plant-based diet, which is basically a plate which looks like this. A lot of vegetables, fruits, legumes, nuts, seeds, whole grains, but all in the minimally processed form, right? Not like instead of vegetables, not the vegetable chips, proper vegetable, and not like the overly cooked vegetables. So that's how it is actually. And the term is coined by again T. Colin Campbell. Please watch the documentary. And so evidence-based WPB, as I mentioned, many studies are there. You also can look at some of the studies like nurses study, nurses healthcare study, healthcare professional study, professional follow-up study. These are all done for 30, 40 years with lakhs of population, that too well-aware population. Healthcare professional study means we know stuff. We know the impact of our survey or things on the the study report. So it is something which is more valuable. It's observational studies, but it is something which is more valuable because of the overall other context. Okay? 2020 onward, there are a lot of RCTs coming in. One of the beautiful RCT which you can look at is actually portfolio trial, which is showing the benefit of following a plant-based diet or a portfolio diet with reducing cholesterol. The efficacy is very similar to statin actually. So I don't have this slide here, again we will share it with you. So it's not like not something which came up all on a sudden. It's been there for 70, 80 years, and we have enough and more studies done on it, especially observational studies. A lot of RCTs are coming, a lot of systematic analysis are coming, systematic reviews and meta-analysis are coming nowadays. So you don't have to feel that you're just doing some kind of a fad. There is enough and more data. And so then you're transitioning to that kind of a dietary pattern, eating more vegetables, fruits, and less of legumes and less of animal products. You are actually not only helping your health or getting better, you're also helping your planet. As I mentioned, 18% of the global greenhouse gas emissions are caused by our animal husbandry. So let's actually take the decision, and it's not for us if we are in our 40s and all, we can still live a better life. In your case, 20 years down the line, planetary health and climate change related issues will be a major concern. Start addressing this now itself. And so that as leaders, we need to create leaders among the healthcare professionals, because being at the apex of the healthcare system, people will listen to us, right? So, and as Dr. Director said, people will look up to organizations like this, what the director or the student body talks about health and related stuff, or people will look up to these kind of organizations. So you have a higher potential to change the world. Please don't take it lightly. Join our group, be part of this movement, and start changing the system. Thank you.